I'm going to do a bit of a video on my Shaker 165 boiler. This came with a house we purchased 2 years ago. We're located in central Pennsylvania, and right now it's the end of November. We're using this to heat our farmhouse. That's one side of it. All told, it's probably heating about 2,600 square feet. We run this into a 70 plate heat exchanger in the basement. Now, with this 165 boiler from the factory, they come with a lot of room for improvement, and we made many of these improvements, and it has helped dramatically. Right now, I think last night I probably didn't put enough logs in there, so it wasn't too hot this morning. I just put a bunch of logs in there, taking a while to get going. A few of the improvements I made is from the factory. It comes with a plastic spotlight that the kind you see at Home Depot and Lowe's, and it don't take long for that thing to melt. So shortly after using this, I replaced it with utility light and a switch, all enclosed. Don't have the motion sensor anymore, but it's really not that big of a deal to me. The other thing I had to do is the water control valve here, not through the factory, through my own negligence. It froze one winter and cracked, so I had to replace that. One of the big improvements we made, which probably cost $1 or $2, is put a elbow on the vent. This way you can get another inch or so of water in the water jacket, and it really cuts down on the evaporation. I've had this running for about 2 weeks now, and I think I put a little bit of water in it, but I really didn't even need it. So without that, you're filling it every few days, I noticed. But I just used a piece of clear tube and jacks, or polybutyl fitting. The other thing I had to do is, from the factory, this doesn't come with a rope gasket for the fire door or the ash door. So what will happen is the gasket, which from the factory, it's probably some sort of RTV. I just bought a few more tubes of high temp RTV, and really filled up the groove, and then covered it with wax paper, and slowly shut the door just enough to indent it, and then I let it cure for a day or two. I did that in the summer. I don't know how well that'll work in the winter, but I did the same thing for the ash door, except the ash door don't have a groove to fill up. It's just flat steel. So I just put a nice fat bead on there and did the same thing with the wax paper. The other thing I had to do was replace the latch for the ash door. The old one was rusted together when we purchased the place, so I welded a threaded rod up to a big nut, and I bought this little I don't know what you call it, nut for hand turning there on Amazon. That seems to work pretty well. Now we'll look inside of here. Right now it's not burning too well because I just threw these logs in and they had some snow on them. But here another half hour or so, it should be going good. That's mostly oak and locust we burn. Last winter we probably went through about 14 cords, but our house wasn't well insulated at all last year. So we got a lot of insulation put in, and I'm thinking this year, I already noticed a big difference. We'll probably only go through about 10 cords, I'm hoping. So we'll go around the back side, which is where I made most of the improvements. Now, one of the things from the factory is this door latch on the back side. I don't know what the heck you're supposed to use in there to keep it latched shut. I don't know if you're supposed to put a padlock or something, but I just shoved a stick through there. I think there's a lot of room for improvement on that. Now, on the inside here, from the factory, it comes with this Snap This thermostat here, and I replaced that right away. Everything I read online, people didn't speak too highly of that. There's just a lot of error on it. It's not very accurate. So I went ahead and bought a Ranco thermostat here, and on the top of the water jack in the back here, I sunk a 3/8 inch piece of copper. I crimped the one side shut and soldered it, and then I flared out the other side, drilled a hole, dropped it in, and put some silicone on there to keep it tight. That works really well. Right now I have it set for a high temp of 178 with a 5-degree differential. I found that seems to work pretty well. I'm running a Taco 11 pump. When we bought the place, it had it was a similar pump to a Taco 007, and it just wasn't pumping enough heat into the house. Fortunately, I've actually found this in the barn, and it worked great, so I threw it on, and I've been happy ever since. The one other big improvement I made was I put a damper controlled by a solenoid on the air intake here. So when there's no call for heat, the solenoid releases and the flapper drops and cuts off all airflow into the firebox. that seems to make a good improvement. And when there's no call for heat, there's barely any smoke coming out of the stack. I also put a higher CFM combustion fan on there. I believe this one's 75 CFM. I think the factory might have been 50, but I could be wrong on that. I came to the conclusion it was blowing a little too much air into the combustion chamber and probably blowing a lot of heat out the stack, so I put a little bit of piece of duct tape on there to cut off the flow a little bit. Seems to work well. Now, one of the issues we have with our install is we're running 3/4 inch polybutyl piping underground. I think the piping itself was probably homemade. I don't think it was factory made or anything. I don't think I'm losing a lot of heat, but the problem is with the 3/4 inch polybutyl, you're not really getting a lot of flow through there. So in time, I'm going to break out this concrete right here and retrench and bury 1-inch insulated PEX. That should really bring up the indoor boiler temperature, I think. The other thing we did is I sealed the, I think they call this the domestic hot water cover. You're supposed to put, I think, Type L copper or something, build your own heat exchanger in here. We don't do that. I just sealed this up real tight so we're not losing much water vapor through there. The other thing I did is I shoved a bunch of, I think this is R19, just some stuff I had sitting around batting up top, keep the heat in. And I noticed when we get snow, it actually sits on top of the boiler now, so we're not losing a whole lot of heat through the top. But that's really it for the improvements I made. Overall, this boiler is kind of lacking in the craftsmanship. It actually kind of looks like something you'd see in a high school metal shop class. But it does work, and this is our second winter with it, but I think it's probably got about 10 years service. So can't really complain about the longevity. I'm hoping to get a few more years out of it, but eventually I'll probably end up switching to a more nicer built outdoor boiler. I think this one from the factories, I think I've seen it listed for about $5,500, and I think you can get some of the nicer built conventional outdoor boilers for another $1,000 or so on top of that. So it'd probably be money well spent, especially after you sink $400 or $500 into getting this to the point where it's operating well. But so there you go. If you have any questions about the improvements I made, you can message me, and I'll help you out as best I can. The online forums are a big help as well for these units. There's a lot of people that have put a lot of effort into making these more efficient, better operating machines. So thanks for watching.